Ishikawa with Sunny Studio Stamps, and I'm here to share the Sunny Studio Spring 2020 release. Up first we have our Spring Fling paper. It comes with 24 double-sided sheets of paper. Up first we have this fun rainbow ombre, and then a pink rainbow print with little faces, and on the back of each one we have a tone-on-tone daisy. So we have the tone-on-tone pink and the orange. On the back of this one we'll have the tone-on-tone yellow. And then a fun grass print with on the back a tone-on-tone green daisy. And some tulip borders with a blue on the back, going through most of the colors of the rainbow here. And a lavender. And so all of these colors actually coordinate with our previous releases with the pastels, so you can mix and match them with other packs of ours. And here's an Easter egg, and I've have another print here on the back, a different floral, and this is a really good background for scene building with your cards, and a cloud, blue cloud and rainbow. And this is the second a little scene we have that you can use for your cards with a lavender on the back, and then they repeat here, so you get two of each sheet. And I'm just going to share here, there's one with the faces and one without for anyone who doesn't love faces on their things. You can go either way and use the back if you don't like faces, or vice versa. And they all come in a nice little plastic bag so you can store your scraps. And up next we have our new little mini floating by stamps. It comes with a bundle of balloons and a couple phrases that you can say floating by to say hello or happy birthday. And I've used 3 of those bundles to create this up inspired house with our happy home stamps. And I've also used it to with our new spring shower stamps where the boy's holding the balloons. And the dies only cut out the outside of the balloons, and the strings you can stamp separately. I had to make a tough decision on how to handle the dies, and that makes them cheaper for you, and I just thought it was a little more versatile. So here's our spring showers and our spring scenes. The spring scenes comes with a little park bench with a tree, and then a fence line, mountains, and 2 little trees to support them. Lots of fun ways to use this, as I'll show you. So here I've used that fence line with the mountains and the trees. And then it comes with some little grass images that I used to repeat on my the bottom part of my card. And for this card, I used the new spring showers with a puddle from our rain or shine, and that outside portion was created by cutting our scallop tags one way and then the other way, hanging off of my cutting pad so that it didn't cut all the way through. And this rainy background was used using our rain showers background. I just repeated it 6 times to create an overall print. And here I have a card using the spring showers and spring scenes, and you can use it to create that little river, or you can have a completely different look and you can make it a sidewalk or even another grassy hill, so it has a lot of flexibility in how you want your scene to look. And here I have a card showing some of the different ways all these little kiddos can carry. So they can carry a butterfly net, a kite, an umbrella, or the balloons as I showed you there. And this one's just an example showing all those fun little critter balloons with the set. And our next set is our Chickie Baby, which goes really cute with our previously released Chubby Bunny. So it comes with a nice script, Happy Easter Sentiment, 6 chicks, little legs, the cracked egg that can go with the little legs, and then bunny ears and a basket, and there's just lots of scene building opportunities here. So for this card I've used our previously released Scenic Route, and I paired it with the Chubby Bunnies. And so you can use that Scenic Route not just for snowy hills but for a spring card like this. And I've pointing out that I used the Hoppy Easter from our new Phoebe alphabet, which I'll share later. This is just a clean and simple card where I used the outer edge of our new frilly frames, and then I inked underneath each one to create a little shadow. And those little hearts are from our Heart Droplets mix. In our next card, I have also using that little fence line there, and this time I just stamped that right onto the grass and fussy cut it out and layered it over the top. And for the dies for this little grass, it just die cuts the top so you can tuck things behind it like the eggs here. And this card I did also using the fence, and this time I used that heart strings border, and a card using that background paper with the lacy edge there from our new eyelet lace borders. And for this card I also used one of those background papers from our Spring Fling paper pack, and I just trimmed it down to a A2 size and then die cut it using one of our frilly frames so that it just inlays there. And I used that banner from Chubby Bunnies. For this card I used our tulip borders from the Spring Fling, and I paired it with those little chicks with the separate legs there for a fun silly look. And then here's a little Easter tag using Chubby Bunnies and the kite from Spring Showers and the new chick. Up next we have our new Cheerful Daisy stamps. It's our layering set for this release. It comes with 2 individual daisies. There's only 2 layers there, and then 3 layers for the centers. And then it comes with 3 different words that mix and match with the word spring and 2 layering leaves. And here's our new eyelet lace border dies. So it comes with 3 separate borders, 2 that cut out an actual scalloped edge. I really like that one. And then the daisies in the center that can cut out like a daisy chain from your background. This one has 2 separate pieces. This is our Frilly Frames eyelet lace, and you can use them together or separate. I'll show you a little bit of both ways here. So for this card, I used it separately, and I just cut out that nice lacy scalloped edge. It's kind of hard to see here, but it cuts out this really dainty scallop on top of the scallop. And here I used the eyelet lace one together with a border, and rare for me, I actually did the inside of the card. I was using some basil cardstock, which is a little bit thinner, so I wanted to give it some extra thickness, so I decorated the inside as well. And there's that lacy border. I just love that one. That's so pretty and fun to use. And I used a little like craft foam that I cut the die out of so that I could pop up my sentiment and glue it on without any adhesive showing. And here you can see this is where I use that daisy background directly onto my cardstock panel, and I just used one of these clear grid rulers to draw some light pencil lines to keep everything straight. And for this card I used the Frilly Frames where I just cut out the outside first, and then I cut it off right there in the center, and then I ran the inside portion through on that one side, and then I taped them back together in the center and added my sentiment. So that's my way of having it. And then for this I just wanted to show that I used the daisy dies with just the top layer to look like a white daisy, since white ink is hard to do. And for this card I used the center portion that I just turned on its side and ran through twice, overlapping one row of daisies so that they all lined up. And then I used our background basic stamps and fishtail banner dies there. And then the timeless tulip dies, they have stamps to match, but I just cut the dies for that one. And now we have our pink peony stamps. This has some really beautiful blooms with matching dies. And then there's this blooming frame that cuts out this beautiful like petal-like outside frame, and it leaves the inside solid. There's no cut line there. So that leaves room to put a happy birthday sentiment, but as I'll show you, it doesn't actually cut out the inside. This one I actually layered with pink in the middle with a fancy frame over the top. They perfectly fit, and created this beautiful sympathy card using some watercolors for my flowers. And here's one showing the blooming frame better just as it is. So I just inked up my cardstock with distress inks and cut it out afterwards. And I used those flowers for the that come with the die, and the little centers I colored with matching distress ink colors to make it coordinate with the background that it was on. Here's one where I masked off the flowers and use that same birthday word die that comes with the set, and then these little tiny mirror droplets, which are so pretty. They really catch the light nice. For this card, I repeated the happy birthday that comes in that frilly frame and just created this beautiful textured background with a tone-on-tone white cardstock. And then I watercolored my pink peonies with Distress ink refills. And there I have some of those little pastel iridescent confetti. For this one, I used the banner from our Banner Basics. And this one, I actually cut the panel in half and turned it into sort of a gatefold looking card. It doesn't actually open that way, but it just creates a little interest. And then I did my flowers that I stamped in pink and watercolored in pink. And then I added a little bit of enamel dots to the, not enamel dots, enamel, like liquid enamel. And this one I did tone-on-tone coloring, or sorry, no line coloring with my Copics. I stamped it in a pink and colored it in a pink so the lines kind of disappear. And then I just used those same inks to stamp it onto my background. And you can see some of the heartstring border dies here that I used for the edge of my card. And next we have our Enchanted stamps. It's a fun 4x6 fairy tale inspired one with the little castle and the carriage and the prince and the knight in shining armor and 2 princesses and frogs and some punny sentiments. And then we also have this little 2x3 Pegasus set called Prancing Pegasus. I did it up here in rainbow colors. Kind of reminds me of my 80s days with My Little Pony and all that. So here's a die set I used on it. We have the loopy hearts, which are open-ended on the end in case you want to try to repeat them. And then an open-ended like dotted heart and open hearts for a background, which I'll show you here. So you can do the ponies in all different colors, just sort of again like the My Little Ponies. You can have fun coloring their hair all different ways. For this card, I actually used that heart border, and I just used my grid ruler here again to evenly space out with some light pencil lines my die, and then I used the stitch heart die and a banner from Banner Basics. Let's see, for this one I also used the pony and the princess. There's 3 unique looks for the pony, but I used our comic strip dies for the frame, and then I added the little border clouds and such from our Fluffy Clouds borders, and I just love how pink and girly it turned out. For this one, I created a wedding card. I inked up my background with some distress inks, and then I heat embossed the stars with yellow embossing powder to make them really pop. For this one, I created my own tone-on-tone background paper. So I also used those balloons again from Floating By and the presents from Santa's Helpers. But for my background, I used all those little images that I just stamped a little section and then moved them around and stamped another little section and moved them around and stamped another. So it went pretty quickly, but it's a fun look. For this one, I used our background basics there for the gingham, and then our rickrack border die there for the rickrack. And then I inked up the center with wilted violet and used that same wilted violet for my banner. And added some of those little iridescent stars by Studio Katia. It's really beautiful. Those are really pretty. And this one is a card I created with a custom sentiment that I'm going to share here later in just a bit. And up next, I have gathered all the cards. Some of these are a repeat, but all the cards using these banners. I just found myself turning to them over and over again with this release. So here's one that I used. And these are the same banner. Just you can turn all of the banners either way, up or down. For this one, a perfect example of up or down, I flip one way and one the other way, and it kind of looks like it's like sort of wrapping around my flowers. And this one uses those little tiny banners. So there's like 3 or 4 different little banners that you can repeat. And there's also the letters to spell out the word happy day. If you're wondering what those are, it just gives you an option to put those into the little banner letters. And that's the same banner used in different ways. And here is another, I've used these both on different ways, but they can also be flipped and used along the top. It just so happens these are both on the bottom. There's a third one that using that same banner. It's just a really good versatile size. Yeah, so I just had a lot of fun having a new little way to house my sentiments. And here's a closer look at our new Kinsley, or Phoebe on the left, Kinsley on the right, alphabets. So I've used them both here on this card here, so I'm re-showing, pointing out some of them. This one I personalized my birthday tag by spelling out Laura. For this one I use that Happy Easter. And that one, this is the one I'm going to share how I did it, just to show you how easy it is to stamp them out. And this one is using it on the banner. So I'm going to clean these all up, and I'm going to share our new before that I'm going to share our new pins. So we have 2 new enamel pins that came out kind of mid-release, and they have our name stamped on back. They're just a really good quality enamel pin for anybody that likes to collect them. You have our little mouse. So now I'm going to share our new clear blocks, which I'm so excited about. I've been looking for a really long time to find someone to make these nice, thick, heavy quality blocks that feel just really good in your hand. They're just a nice weight, and they come with a 1/4 inch grid, and they're 9/16 of an inch thick. They just have a really nice easy grip edge where they're kind of indented into the center so that it's easier to hold. And I'm going to use the smaller one to add these sentiments onto my card. So every once in a while you have a certain thing you want to say and you just don't have the right sentiment in your set, so that's where alphabet stamps come in handy, or if you want to customize it with somebody's name. For this one I wanted to use the word bell, and I was showing you there how I had made a mistake originally, so I have to redo it. But I'm going to turn to a grid ruler, so I'm going to kind of measure out. I had done this like kind of a pre-test to see if I had enough room to write the whole thing out there onto my card before I messed it up. But as it turned out, I stamped it with the grass on the top, so I messed it up anyway. So here's take 3. But I'm going to just measure so I can see that the tallest alphabet is just under a 1/2 inch wide, and I want to save room for that scallop and everything so that there's enough room. So I'm kind of using the lines on this grid ruler by Misty, or My Sweet Petunia, sorry. Anyway, I'm using the lines. I love this ruler. It comes in so handy. It comes with actually a 13-inch ruler, I believe, and this little 8-inch ruler, but it's so handy. So I'm going to draw a light pencil line. I missed getting it on the corner there, so I'm going to go back again. You're going to see my head a lot in this, so I apologize. Gonna put my little example back there so I can try to center it and eyeball it as best as possible. So you're gonna see here that I actually immediately make a mistake. I had thought that I had already had ink on these from when I did my test run and my mistake, and so I thought that I got this good and inked up, but it turned out that I thought I hadn't impressed it well onto the cardstock, but it turned out it was the inking I hadn't done well. So you're going to see that it doesn't actually work. And then I like, oh crud. So I go back and I try to line it up again. But it's like, oops, it still doesn't work because there's no ink there. So I go back and ink it up really good this time. Excuse my bald grain head. Anyway, so I'm going to go back through and I'm going to go through all the letters. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. I know it can get boring to watch, but the point here is that I want to make is that I tried using alphabet letters with my Misty, and it is so much work to try to perfectly line up these sticky little letters onto a Misty perfectly straight, and I find it so much easier to just draw a little pencil line and to look through the clear block and move it as you need to, it's 10 times easier than lining them up. And on top of it, you can space them how you want to, whereas when they're all in a misty stack next to each other, it's extremely hard to get them closer together if you want them closer together, because the little base around the stamp protrudes, and it doesn't allow for you to space them further or closer together. So anyway, I just really have enjoyed using these blocks. Sorry, I didn't realize I was off camera here, but yeah. So I'm going to just keep going through the phrase. Having everything spelled out ahead of time really helps so that you don't accidentally grab the wrong letter, as you'll see here when I start to go backwards on the other side. And in a second here, I'll just actually cut out the word, the rest of the word ball, so you don't have to watch me do it, but you can get the idea. And then ball is magically there. Now I'm going to go backwards here with the E. And sadly, I have to say I kind of probably liked the first one I did better. It just spaced just perfectly, but at this point it was like 2 in the morning and I was like, just get it done. So anyway, I didn't redo it. I was just kind of impatient and wanting to get it done so I could move on to the next step and get this card done in time. There you have it. So that was the original. Now I'm going to just see how my little girl fits here, and then I'm going to pair it with our free die with purchase for spring 2020. We have the new little tulip die. I'll pull it out here to show you. Here's what it looks like. It comes with the flower bloom, the stem, and the leaves. I did the stem and the leaves separate just so you could get it really nice and intricate, because if they were connected, they would look a little more chunky. So anyway, here's a card I created using them, the finished card, and this is a closer look at our a bit more of our spring release. Thanks so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.